Thank you, Danielle. It is time for the headliner brought to you by Miller Lite. And this gentleman needs no introduction. Believe it or not, in 2006, he hit over 500 for the Tigers in the World Series. In the World Series. I mean, come on. I mean, that's that has to be some sort of record. But anyway, it is Sean Casey, MLB Network analyst. He joins us again here on the headliner. Sean, thanks for doing that. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem, Art. Good to be back on with you, brother.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with it because the Tigers, unfortunately, had a little bit of a power outage in that World Series, but you were in the zone. Was that the best you've ever been in a short period of time? I know baseball tends to lend itself to streaks, but my gosh, were you good?
No, I had stretches like that throughout my career where I was just like, wow. I mean, sometimes you surprise yourself. But I give a lot of credit to Andy Van Slyke and Donnie Slott down the stretch there. Those past few weeks, we were doing a drill in the batting cages where Van Slyke would throw to me as hard as he could, and it was just about really getting visual and like really seeing the ball. And Van Slyke still had a cannon at that time, so anything I faced in the game, I was like, man, this isn't as hard as Andy Van Slyke's throwing in the batting cage. Unbelievable. And like I just got so locked in, like I was really seeing the ball. It looked like a beach ball to me, and like it was just perfect timing because when the playoffs had hit right at the end of the season there, I really started really rocking in some balls, and by the end of the season, I was really in a zone. I got to the postseason, then I got hurt in that first game in Oakland, and I was like, oh my gosh, like played my whole career. This is my 9th year in the big leagues to play in the World Series, and I might not play because I blew out my calf. And then I ended up getting healthy, came back in time to DH for game 1. And then, I ended up hitting, a couple of home runs. And, I look back, I wish we would have won the World Series, but those memories for me playing on that team, for Jim Leland, all those guys in that clubhouse, and the memory of the city of Detroit, of how crazy those fans were and how awesome it was, it probably is the greatest memory of my career.
To this day, I think about it. I go, my God, whatever Sean Casey had during the World Series, he should bottle it and sell it. I mean, it was very cool, man. I mean, I have to say that I was really, really into it. Let's move on. MLB Tigers hire AJ Hinch. Your thoughts, on AJ getting another job. I mean, Cora got one too right after their suspensions. You're a former player. Is this going to sit well, do you think? Are we able to move past this? Where do you think we're at?
I think everybody in life deserves second chances. I mean, it would be a crazy world if we didn't give people second chances and stuff.
Right.
AJ Hinch has been a great manager. The players loved him out there in Houston. Alex Cora too, getting a chance to go back to Boston. Hey, listen, what do they say? Those who have no sins cast the first stone. I mean, I just think like we all have to have some, look back and go, listen, we've all made mistakes, whatever. But AJ Hinch is a great manager. He's the right guy there in Detroit. I saw they just signed George Lombard as the bench coach. George is a great guy. He was the first base coach over there in LA, with the Dodgers. They brought in Scott Coolball's the hitting coach, right? Chip Hale's the third base coach.
Right.
The staff that AJ Hinch has put together is really, really impressive, and I think it's going to really sit well with a lot of the, young players on that Detroit Tiger in the clubhouse.
Well, the reason, when you said, as they say, him without sin cast the first stone, you're quoting a pretty popular dude. You're quoting Jesus there, Sean. So.
I know, what the heck?
Yeah, really. Yeah, if you're going to quote somebody, you might as well go for the big guy, as you said. That's excellent. I wanted to get into the coaching staff that AJ Hinch hired too, and Chris Fetter, whom everybody knows. If you're a Michigan baseball fan, and believe it or not, there's plenty of them here in Southeast Michigan, you know who Chris Fetter is as a player, but you also know him as Michigan's pitching coach. I don't know how much you delve into the pitching side of things, being, a 500 hitter, career hitter in the World Series, but Fetter seems to be this guy that can take, I guess, the whole metrics thing into this century for the Tigers.
Well, yeah, I saw that they hired Fetter, and hey, listen, I mean, I think he's done a great job there at Michigan too. Has some pedigree as far as his career goes, and also too, I think you're right when you're dealing with The metrics of nowadays, the analytics, all that kind of stuff of how you break down certain guys and evaluate and how you put together a game plan for a pitching staff. He must have impressed some people there in the higher ups in Detroit because sounds like he's a great candidate.
Well, I wanted to ask you, during your career, was metrics still evolving? Because I'm from the school, I used to look at a guy, was he good or bad? Well, what's his average? How many home runs does he have? And how many runs batted in, I mean, was that something that you were aware of as a player?
Yeah, we had all the metrics too. I mean, I think now they're it's dressed up more, I think. I think now people have more of a role in the analytics and stuff. But I know at the end of the day, as a hitter, and I would probably say most hitters feel this way, don't give me too much information because I got to really keep it simple, stupid, right? I got to see the ball and hit it. I got to know what he's trying to do to me. But I also have to know, I can't overanalyze any of these stats. I have to be able to get in the moment, let my athletic ability come out, keep it simple, and get it done. Now, the analytics part of it, I think is become a big part, and I think there's something to be said about putting together a lineup. You saw, I think Kevin Cash, you saw Cash maybe getting in trouble in the World Series a little bit,
right,
with Snell dominating that game 5 2/3, and they went to the metrics to say they didn't want to face the Dodger lineup that third time when he already struck out Betts twice, Seager twice, and Justin Turner twice. So, sometimes I also think the analytics is going to come back around too, where you're like, okay, we do need the eye test. We do need baseball people. We do need guys that have been in the box and on the mound. We need guys that have played the game. Because I'll tell you what, Art, at the end of the day, the mental side of it, how to get your heart rate down, how to breathe, how to live in the moment. Those are things that no analytics, no metrics can tell me. I have to actually be in the game, actually see how fast it is, actually be able to control myself with the bases loaded, 2 outs in the World Series, and trying to get a hit, and fans are going crazy. No metric can tell you how to do that. You need actual baseball guys to do that.
The Tigers, I think, finished 9 games under 500 this year, only played 58. But I know from here in Detroit, people were excited by some of the young players that they have. Even though Spencer Torkelson didn't come up, Riley Green didn't come up. But then you look at, Casey Mize, Tarek Skubal. There seems to be a semblance of a pretty good baseball team here in Detroit in a very short period of time.
Yeah, Daz Cameron kind of sliding
right
in there too. They have some studs, especially their arms. Skubal and Mize, and you talk about Torkelson in the bat. Riley Green, I was able to coach him at the Futures game a few years ago when he was in high school, the year before he got drafted by you guys. Kid's a stud, stood out this kid ranks. People are born to hit, he was born to hit. I really believe that. So when he comes up, he's going to have a wonderful career. I mean, the future's really bright in Detroit. I think they've had to take a couple steps back these last few years to propel themselves forward. But, like I said, those arms that they have and those position players they have are game-changing people.
I always say it would be great if a team, when they're in a rebuild, catches a break on a player. I mean, a guy who's just head and shoulders a superstar. I look at Riley Green, and I just see his ascension, as you just said. And I know that you coached him in that Futures game. But we always hear, well, he's pretty young. A couple of years ago, he was singing about his boutonniere or whatever for the high school prom or whatever. But is it baptism under fire? If Sean Casey, if you see something in a player, regardless of how old he is, do you just put him in there?
Well, I think nowadays, Art, you're seeing teams bring up guys so much younger and almost okay, here you go. You're going to learn at the big league level. And Riley Green's a guy, I feel like that bat plays anywhere. Now, will you have some lumps here and there coming up young? Yeah, but might as well get him there sooner than later, I think. Let him see what the competition he's going to face and adjust to that. Because like I said, his bat, his eye-hand coordination, his power, I mean, he has a shot to be an elite player. And, I'd love to see him there sooner than later and take some of his lumps in the big leagues so that in a few years when the Tigers are really good, that he's right in the middle of that lineup.
I saw him at the beginning of the season in May, and then he did a Zoom call with the Tigers. And in that short period of time, which is only, 5-6 months at the most, not even, I mean, it looked like he had put on, 20 pounds of muscle. He just looked bigger, that he's starting to grow into his body. And I'm thinking, my gosh, what is he? Maybe 20? What's he going to look like at 24, 25? I mean, that guy, as you like to say, I mean, he's definitely has, all-star written all over him. I mean, I really think that he could end up, and nothing against all the other guys, because they're all good, especially Unleash the Torque, Spencer Torkelson, but Riley Green to me seems to be that special player. I need to ask you a little bit about free agency. Tigers looking for a catcher. They have some young prospects that they're into. Looks like Austin Romine probably will not be back. Tiger fans really want James McCann. Do you have any idea of where Detroit might go with the catching position?
I was just gonna say, why not bring back James McCann? This guy gets better with age. I really does. I think he swings the bat well. That's a plus, because I think he's really good with the staff. The guys behind the he's great behind the dish. But that young staff, a guy like James McCann coming in, he's a veteran guy. He's been there. Why not bring him back? I mean, you look at Real Muto is the big money. It might take $180 million to sign him. James McCann, you get, production wise, he's a little lower than Real Muto, but he's going to give you a lot of value. That's not a bad idea to bring back McCann. I was going to say the same thing.
Well, when you look at it, I want to go to starting pitching and talk about a former, because of the way innings were limited, they're thinking maybe this year, all of baseball, every team's going to have to go to a 6-man rotation. A guy like Rick Porcello, obviously, I joke around, before he was like 24, he had won 200 games for the Tigers or something. He was a Tiger very, very young. Is he a possibility? A Porcello, because they're going to have to add, even though they have great arms in the organization, probably a veteran arm or two.
Yeah, they would definitely have to add a veteran arm. Porcello would be great too. You talked about how I feel like he came up when he was 12. Every time I look up, he's like, how old is Porcello? He's 24. Has he been in the big league for like 18 years? I mean, you feel that way about Porcello. It's unbelievable, So bringing Porcello back might not be a bad thing. Anything to teach some of the young kids like Skubal and Mize and these young arms, really how to navigate a game. And, anybody they bring in, obviously, I don't think they're going to bring in the big free agents, like a Bauer or Stroman or something like that. But to bring in a mid-range free agent, somebody that can really help these young kids along would be huge, and then develop them. Then maybe you go get a top guy in a couple years.
DJ LeMahieu's from here, grew up a Tiger fan, probably, I would assume, a big Sean Casey fan. He probably remembers that World Series too.
Yeah.
I mean, too much money? Do you think I would think Detroit's probably going to make a play for him just because of his local ties, but like a LeMahieu, a Colton Wong, because they need an infielder, Profar, any of those guys?
I mean, LeMahieu would be unbelievable. I'm a huge fan of him. I mean, they only talk about the shift on guys. I a stat the other day at MLB Network. I think in the last 5 years, they've only shifted twice on LeMahieu. And that just goes to show you how good of a hitter he is. And this really a line-to-line guy, tough out, doesn't strike out a lot, going to put together good at-bats for you. So, I mean, geez, if the Tigers sign LeMahieu, that would be huge, for that lineup, just as far as just a professional hitter goes. There's a lot of good other guys out there, I don't know. Jonathan Scope too. I think he's still a really good player. I don't know if you just give up on trying to maybe bring him back at some point too. So,
right.
I don't know where the Tigers are right now as far as wanting to make that long-term commitment to a big free agent. So I don't know if they're going to give LeMahieu the money that he's going to need right now, but. Man, the Tigers seem to be in a good position with a lot of young kids and maybe bringing in a free agent here or there. I just don't know if it's going to be that frontline free agent.
Well, I'll tell you a guy that I would like. I always liked him when he was with Cleveland. I always thought he was a premier hitter. I don't know if they have a chance for him. I know they want to add another outfielder or two. That'd be a guy like Michael Brantley. Exactly. Oh. I mean, he would look great in the Old English D.
He would look great. He would look great anywhere. That guy flat out can hit. And, you saw this year where he was playing, a little bit of coming back from some injuries and DH for the Astros and did that really well. So, I mean, he would bring so much value as an outfielder. You could throw him in at DH. You could do whatever. But, man, Brantley would be a great sign for the Tigers.
Well, he certainly would be. You know, Sean, unfortunately, because we got into that big Jesus discussion, we're going to have to end it right here. We've run out of time. So we'll have to have you on very, very quickly because, you know, obviously, you know, from what I've heard, you're the mayor. You're going to be heading up all these recounts all over the country. So we'll have to get into that, too.
No chance. No chance. Keep me in the baseball realm, not the political realm, you know?
All right. Sean, it's always great to visit with you. We will talk to you very, very soon. Always enjoy your work as a player and then obviously on the MLB Network as an analyst. Thank you so much for joining us on The Headliner.
All right, Art. Thanks a lot for having me on, man. I'll see you down the road.
All right, buddy. That sounds good. All right, that'll do it for this edition of Headliner, brought to you by Miller Lite. It is the original light beer, only 96 calories. It tastes delicious, and it is available for delivery. Daniela, back to you.